A new start for the site of the former Notre Dame College, which goes up for auction today.
Yeah, Vic Gideon is live this morning in South Euclid with who could be interested in the property. Good morning, Vic.
Notre Dame College closed in the spring of 2024, and it left nearly 50 acres of prime real estate right off Green Road, including historic buildings and green space. Now, the site, the campus, up for auction. One of the bidders, the city of South Euclid. The city of South Euclid will officially bid on the property off Green Road, council approving the action last week. The college closed in spring 2024 amid financial problems and declining enrollment after more than 100 years. A federal judge placed the property in receivership in November, and an initial price has been set of almost $8 million. In a Facebook post, the city of South Euclid called the purchase a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The campus described by the firm conducting the auction as roughly 48 acres with 10 buildings, totaling nearly 500,000 square feet of classrooms, laboratories, chapels, residence halls, student services, and athletic facilities, along with approximately 800 surface parking spaces. A news release from the city of South Euclid read, South Euclid will continue to approach this opportunity thoughtfully with a focus on long-term community benefit, neighborhood compatibility, and responsible stewardship. The release goes on, the city would use the site as a well-planned mixed-use approach that balances community needs, open space, and long-term sustainability. In addition to the city of South Euclid, Seven Wells LLC is interested in purchasing the property. They would take the main part of the campus, and a yeshiva Jewish school would take what was formerly Regina High School. We'll find out more later today. Reporting from South Euclid, Vic Gideon, 19 News.